What's up, YouTube fans? Today I'm going to take a look at my custom Masterpiece Scale Twincast made from Deformation Space Recording Alliance. So this will be my second custom that I made, and of course I learned things along the way as we go, and I'm going to talk about some of that. But this was my first custom. I did a video for this guy just to show people how they could do it themselves. These are projects you can do. Everything I'm showing you, it doesn't really take a lot of skill. You need to be, a little bit mechanically inclined, and you need to kind of be patient. But this was the first one. I thought it came out pretty good. If you're interested more, you can watch that video. I'll put it at the end of this one. So I decided to take this on. Recently, there was a nice sale on a Shozi store where they were giving these guys away for like $60. I was like, for $60, I could have a custom Twincast. Easy decision. So I bought one because I already have the Fans Toys version for my regular. And you got to get some paint. So me personally, I don't have a spray booth where I can spray the paint and not worry about the fumes. I just don't want the fumes in the house, and the wife doesn't either. So I'm using these spray cans from Tamiya. It says 4 plastics. They have 2 different kinds as far as I can tell. There's another one that says 4 polycarbonate. You don't want the polycarbonate kind. That's actually for remote control cars. So here's polycarbonate. Either remote control cars or model cars, but this is, basically you mask off the windows and spray. You can see I can make some mistakes. This is very old, by the way. I used to be into remote control cars, and I built this one. But this is the paint you want for plastics. And if you don't have a spray booth or a spray gun, these are really good because the spray nozzles are really good. Now, you really should clean it after you use it. I didn't clean this one. You can see it's a little gunked up, so I'd try to clean that before I use it next, or spray a little bit and try to clean it. Waste a little bit of paint. But one has really good nozzles, and 2, the quality of the paint is very good. Comes out very evenly, and it's good quality in terms of the evenness of what you get. So for this particular figure, I bought metallic blue, the pearlescent white, and metallic red for this and for the gun. And then for the face, I couldn't find a yellow paint spray that I liked, so I got just a jar of acrylic paint. All of this is basically acrylic paint. In the past, I have used enamel paint. I don't recommend enamel paint. It's just not, it's hard to work with. So this is acrylic. It's kind of like a blend, actually, but this is the same kind of paint you could put in a spray gun if you wanted to. Like I mentioned, I don't have a spray gun or a booth. So those are the colors I had to get. First step, and I'm going to show you with pictures kind of how we go, but you need these or something similar. These are just alligator clips. They're very cheap. You can buy them on Amazon. They come with little rubber grommets on the end. Eventually, I ended up taking all of them off because it actually gets stuck and they get sticky, whereas the metal doesn't get sticky. So, and you need a little piece of foam like this. I have a couple of these to stick these in, just so that when they're drying and also when you're prepping them, you can have a place to put them and set them down. So the first step on this guy is to disassemble him, of course. So here's a picture of all the parts disassembled. And one thing I want to mention is you do have to remove the pins if you really want to get everything painted properly. On this guy, there's some pins that are one-way pins. So basically, one end of it is not exposed. And in order to get those out, you'd have to drill. I wasn't about to drill, so I didn't remove pins that were one-way. And then there were some pins that were just too hard to take out. And rather than destroy the figure, I just left them. So that just meant I had to move the part and then paint it again, and then move it and paint it. So next, we want to prep it. So you can just wash it with, water, soapy water. You can also use some agents. I don't use any agents. It's just more work than I need. Depending on the figure, the plastic might need primer so that the paint will stick better. This particular figure is painted in matte paint to begin with, so it's very receptive to new paint. So you could either do it in primer or you could just, paint over, which is what I did. So next we go ahead and paint. I paint outside of my house so that the fumes all dissipate. And also it just doesn't make a mess anywhere. I put down a piece of cardboard. I pick up each one off of those little pins or alligator clips, and I hold them, and I have one hand with a glove, and I spray with the other hand all around, and then I put it down and go to the next piece. Pretty much you have to paint every piece like that. Then you let it dry. You want to do it in thin coats, so this is about 2 to 3 coats, and in between coats I waited maybe like an hour or two, and then after the third coat you let it just dry for like 24 hours. That might be overkill, but it's good to let it dry so that you don't end up scratching the paint off or having it drip. Once it's dry, then the thing I learned this time was using clear coat. So for this type of paint, this is Tamiya clear coat for plastics. It does 2 things. One, it makes the paint a little bit more shiny when you do clear coat, but it also protects it so that if you're going to transform it, then you won't have scratches as much. You'll still have scratches, but you have to be a little less careful. Then, of course, let it dry, reassemble it, and then here we are with the finished product. And I do think it came out pretty good. The metallic blue looks pretty nice. Now, you can see it's a little bit dark. That's because I didn't put primer underneath. So if you want the paint to be a little bit lighter, put primer underneath as a first coat, then paint it. I think that would have made it a little bit lighter, but it's okay. I don't mind it. I like the look of it. For parts like this, where you've got a stripe or like an inner painted piece, you have to mask those off. So I did use masking tape. Now I actually used the white masking tape that you get, for projects and stuff, and it's a little too thin. And I had this in the house. I don't know why I didn't try it or think of it, but this is blue painter's tape. It's a little bit thicker than the regular white masking tape, and it tends to prevent bleed a little better. So I did have some bleed on this guy, and I had to go back and repaint. But I recommend using this kind of tape. You basically tape it off, maybe do 1 or 2 depending on the location, and then you cut it to the shape on here. Using an X-Acto knife, obviously being careful not to cut the figure, but cut it up. And when you're done, you'll see there'll be basically masked pieces over the shape. So for things like this or this, you want to mask those things off. So that's really it. That's the process I used. And here's the back. Came out pretty nice. Some of the challenges along the way, when you're putting it back together, there are springs. On this guy has some springs in different places. For example, the opening chest door has a spring in it. Some of the legs, there's some springs in here. And I have yet to transform this guy into alt mode. I have a feeling there's going to be some spots where he doesn't look right. All right, there he is in alt mode. And had some issues in this mode, specifically the parts that turn, the hinges that move around. I had to manually touch them up. So you can see the color's a little bit off. I hand painted this metallic blue. So it was the same color, but it's just a slightly different hue. Now this part here, I'm actually missing a panel right here. So I'm waiting for Shozi to ship that to me, and then I'll paint it with the same paint. So obviously I just painted over the missing panel there. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good in the alt mode. Here's the back. And it does still operate, it still functions, so you can open this up. You can put the tape in there. It was already a tight fit before, so just be cautious with this. It's these horns that tend to fall down, but you can put that in there, you can close it up, and it fits in there. And then here is the Ramhorn that he came with. And I've replanted him into shattered glass Ramhorn. I know this is not shattered glass blaster, but I had the paint. I figured why not. The silver you see here is hand painted. I had some leftover silver paint, so I decided to do that by hand. This came in pretty well for, rush job. I did not take this apart. There's so many teeny tiny pins on this, so if you untransform this, you will see a little bit of red or the whatever the color was before underneath. But overall, I had pretty good coverage. So there's your Ramhorn. So yeah, final thoughts on this guy. Pretty fun project, good for a beginner or intermediate. You do need to be a little bit handy in taking things apart. I recommend either labeling. The best option really is to record it. Take some video or pictures of as you're disassembling it, so you can see very easily where do the screws go, where do the pins go, how does it go together. As I went, I would take pictures. So I'd take apart the arm and I'd take a picture of the arm, take apart that even further. As I went in stages, I would take pictures so that it was very easy to reassemble it when you're going back the other direction. For what I needed in this project, it was basically 3 cans of paint at $12 each. So, $36 out the door for the paint. So that's really it for today. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing my custom Twincast and you're inspired to do your own little project. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.